It's crazy to think how far we've come with this, and it all started from a crappy MS Paint drawing. And now here we are, moving on to part 4, another step towards completion in this build series. Welcome to my midlife crisis. My 30x40 shop build. Yeah, let's go with that. On today's menu we have shingles, trim, windows, and paint. Without further delay, let's get right into it. Alright, here we are, once again. To start off, this video incorporates 3 days of footage. The first day is here with the original framers from the previous framing video. They end up finishing this half in about 1 day, and like before, I had to work that day, so what we see here is from the same front view as before, but I feel like it captures the nature of what's going on pretty well. The painting portion I was here for, so I got some good close-up footage while they worked. Although I'm not sure how interested you can be watching another man paint, but here we are. I got it all. Oh, and one last thing on that. Those guys, they took about a day and a half, I believe. So, yep, there that is for context. So I gotta say, this whole thing has been such an awesome experience. From both the shop build to the YouTube video editing thing. I never done something like this before. So it was quite motivating to see how my videos have been received from the audience. Seriously, you guys are awesome. Your comments and likes, they're encouraging. And sometimes it gives me something to think about and research further. I love that about this whole thing. Feel free to question what's going on. Give your 2 cents. Tell me it's great, or tell me it sucks. It's all relevant and honest as far as I'm concerned. I don't know what qualifies as going viral or anything like that, but I had no idea this would take off like it did. I'm pretty stoked about that. It makes me want to keep going. I got my first few hundred subs. Now I'm all like, oh my god, let's try to be YouTube millionaires now. Not very likely, but it's fun either way. I've enjoyed sharing my build with the world. Anyways, we got a minute or two of these guys plinking away at the roof, so let's talk shop. I was just hanging out with my dad in his shop this weekend, and I just sat there for a minute thinking of all the memories we've had as a family in that building. There's pictures on the wall showcasing the legendary people in our lives. His workbench and welding table have years of patina from countless off-road projects. It's just like, God, we've done it all in that shop. How many beers have we turned into piss? How many laughs have happened in this space? We have solved all of the world's problems in that shop of his, and I cherish the memories. That shop has held so much joy for all of our friends and family over the years. Alright, so maybe it's a good time to talk a little bit about what my plans are for the shop. Well, my profession, what I do for a living, is aircraft maintenance. That's what I do. Over the years, however, I've become interested in all sorts of metal work. I watched a few episodes of that Forged in Fire and thought, oh my god, that looks super cool. I need to try that. So I expect in the near future, I'll be getting into bladesmithing. I don't know what it is about watching metal get all gooey and then hammered into something usable, like a knife, but it's pretty kick-ass and top-notch in my opinion. And this is the sort of space I need to do that. Another thing that I want to get into is building parts for my Razor. My family and I are big-time off-road people. We've been doing it since the 70s, so I want to be the family sheet metal guy. That won't be so hard because I sort of already do that for a living, and I have some experience drilling holes in metal. Lastly, as a desert rat, I have a huge interest in firearms. I'm not sure how much of that I can put on YouTube, let alone talk about, without getting some kind of negative mark or whatever. But I do have an interest in it and would like to get into reloading and that sort of thing. Nothing crazy. And of course, I'll be moving all of my computer stuff in there. I'm not sure many of my subs are interested in video games, but by the looks of the views I get on those videos. But I need to get my crap in there so I can yell at my friends like it's 2009 again and not wake up my wife and kids while doing so. It's a definite necessity. Alright, back to the shop build for a minute. Right now, these guys are finishing up with the shingles, and it looks like most of my windows are in. Seriously though, I think the windows on my shop are better than the windows in my house. My windows on the house are from the late 70s. They're all single pane and have a slight draft and just look old. I'm gonna need to do some research on how to install Windows myself if that's feasible. Definitely some good future content. Anyway, I'm really happy with the windows I have going into the shop. All nice and modern. Help give the building a nice breeze when they're opened. I do wish I went a little higher because all along that back wall, I plan to put a nice long workbench, but the windows are just a little low for that. But I have what I have, and I'll make it work. Anyway, life experience gained. I noticed I haven't talked much about the electrical side of things. Well, that's because I'm severely lacking in my knowledge of it. At one point, I knew enough to pass my tests at airplane school, but those files have since been deleted from my brain. Anyways, what I can say is that I have outlets going in all over the place. Minus the two by the window on the front side of the garage, all the outlets on the inside are about workbench level. In total, about 8 separate outlets. I did have a couple 220 outlets added as well for the welder that I haven't bought yet in the mini split. I also have a few outlets on the outside for whatever I may need to do in the future. And the lights, gotta have them. On the inside, I'll have 8 tube lights. I'm not sure what the correct name for them is, and 3 outside lights. So that's what I got, and as of now, we're supposed to have power by next week's video, so tune in for that. Funny story, in Small World, the electrician happened to be an old family friend who knew my dad and grandpa. It had been quite a few years since I've seen him, maybe as far back as like high school, but definitely prior to my time in the army, which had to be at least 11, 12 years ago. So that was kind of cool to have him on the job site, and it's been a pleasure working with him. He looked at what I had per the drawing and asked me what my intentions were, and after I explained to him my lack of knowledge, he suggested some changes. And I'm fortunate he mentioned these too, because I probably wouldn't have had the proper setup for what I want. I've been fortunate so far with everybody involved in the process. Well, looks like these guys are just finishing up trim. I wouldn't get to see how this looked until about 1:30 in the morning when I got home from work. I could tell it had the trim and the windows, but I didn't know if they finished the roof or not until I got up the next morning. I mean, afternoon. But I think it looks great. I really didn't know how I'd feel about that T111, but it looks pretty sturdy when it's all together. Not bad. Not bad at all. Alright, so I'm interested to know what would you guys have done differently with the exterior? Let's just say steel isn't an option. Do you like the wood siding? Would you have gone with a vinyl siding or maybe stucco? Let me know down in the comments, what is your version of perfect? And now that you guys have a better idea about my design, how does it look so far? Do you like the layout? When I was designing this, I had a few different options on placement and layouts that I came up with that would fit my property well. You see, my lot is a perfect rectangle, so finding a spot was really just a matter of do I want it on the east or the west corner of the yard. What made that decision a little easier was the fact that if I went for the western side, I ultimately would have had to put down more concrete in the future for a driveway. And I just figured this is a little more practical as well as economical. Speaking of driveways, as soon as this is done, I plan on creating a new series on the making of my driveway. I've been following a guy on here who has created his own garage slab with a Harbor Freight mixer, one section at a time. And I think I'm going to do it. I've been thinking for a long time that I could theoretically do this, and after watching this guy get it done over the course of 8 months, I think I have what it takes. I got all the tools needed, and after getting some experience extending my patio a few years back, I think I'm ready. Alright, and here we are onto the paint. Unfortunately, there isn't a whole lot to see from this angle. Naturally, this is the side with the least amount of paint being done. But don't worry, I was lucky this time for once. These guys decided to come out on a Saturday and a little bit into a Sunday, so I was able to get some decent close-up shots of the fresh paint. And I gotta say, what a relief it has been that the temperature is finally changing. Prior to this, everyone from the concrete guys to the framers have been working in some armpit of hell weather over 100 degrees every single time. It sucked. But these 2 days, it got to that perfect 80-degree weather. It's been a long summer, and I'm pretty sure we set some kind of record here in the high desert of SoCal. I remember hearing that Death Valley hit a record at least. I don't live super close to it, but close enough because it definitely got up to 116 where I'm at. And we'll move right in to a close-up. Okay, so here we are today. Painters are painting. Got my son with me, little guy. He's just having a good day. Let's take a look where they're at. So the painters, they were good guys, and they did a good job, but they were definitely a little camera shy, I think. Every time I walk close to them or walk around them, they just kind of stop what they're doing and just look like, what are you doing, man? I don't want to be filmed. But that's okay. And they didn't want to talk very much. Like, every now and then I'd try to come up to them, just say, hey man, good job, looks great, really good. And they just kept their one word answers and kept doing what they're doing. Maybe they just didn't want to be there on a Saturday or something, but they were cool. One of the guys was talking to me for at least 2 or 3 minutes at the end of the first day to let me know he needed to come in on the second day. So that is about as good as it got for me. Anyway, here's a good question for you guys. Anybody's a painter out there. You can kind of see all the prep work they did, putting the paper on the bottom to protect the foundation and the plastic on the windows. Did they do a good job? Does it look good? I think it came out just fine, but maybe I'm missing something. I'm not a professional in this line of work. Anyway, here's a good example right here of the paint between the shop and the house. That's my house in the background, so it's kind of similar. And here's some of their little equipment, paint and stuff. And we're back to the frontal view. Oh god, not the frontal view again. Don't worry guys, like I said, this happened on a weekend, and I got some close-ups. More is a-coming in this video, I promise. I'm trying something new here with this video, In my last few videos, I didn't do much talking, and I figured I'd take a chance and try and engage with the community out there a little. Maybe in some YouTube sort of way, you guys can learn a little bit about me, and I can learn from all of you. That is my hope, at least. I have plenty of things I want to try and build. One thing I really admired about some of these YouTube guys out there is that they took some pointers from the audience and incorporated it into their work, which ultimately improved what they were trying to do. And that's so cool. We're all from different places, but we're all finding interest in the same things. Some of us are newbies, like myself, and some of you are seasoned professionals. I think it would be hilarious if one of the big concrete YouTubers came on here and gave me a hard time when I do my driveway in a month. That would be hilarious. One thing that I do notice about other YouTubers is that they all seem to live somewhere nicer than me. Like, seriously, every single time there is some green and lush place and they have all this land, it looks like some majestic paradise where you can build anything you want with little trouble. When the fires are kicking off in the mountains and the light hits the desert a certain way, I feel like I'm deployed again. Like, seriously, there's nothing that beautiful where I'm at. But it's cheap, so whatever. Anyways, enough rambling. Here you can see the finish on the trim and the color of the overall shop. I think it came out great, and I love the light tan and white accent. It matches the house pretty well. A little known life hack out here in the desert is that if you paint your house tan, it doesn't look so dirty all the time. Trust me, it's a thing. Every white house up here has a skirt of tan around the bottom from all the dirt and wind. I don't think I'll ever have any other color as long as I live here. Before we get into the final painting scenes, I just want to say thank you all for watching. If you're new here, welcome to the show of my life. And if you're one of the OG subscribers from the previous videos, thank you for tagging along. I hope I didn't put this out too late for you guys. It's been a tough month with all the big life events happening and work. If for any reason it gets a little slow, please stick with me. I promise things will pick back up soon. My wife and I are having our third baby in the coming weeks. If you're a parent, you know what I mean. I may not be a smart man, but I'm a hard worker. So I'll try to be as consistent as possible and provide as much content as I can. Well, crew, tell me what you guys think. Do you like how it turned out? Let me know in the comments. Next week will be about garage doors and electrical. That one will be a little quick, but good to see nonetheless. If you've enjoyed seeing my 30x40 shop build and want to follow along, consider hitting that subscribe button and drop a like. Seriously, anything helps. My generation doesn't have pensions anymore, so please, help me. JK. Thanks for watching, and like Joe Dirt says, keep on keeping on. McSqueezy out.